Welcome to Deep Waters. I'm George Jakovic with champions for the first time. We got Shawn and Tim in the house. We got the ESPN analyst, Tim Bradley. He's a champion, ESPN analyst, Hall of Famer. We got Shawn. Did I say Shawn Bradley? I said Shawn Bradley. We got Shawn Porter in the house, former welterweight champion. And we got Paulie Malignaggi. Not Shawn Bradley, it's Shawn Porter. And guess what? We are live. We are live on ProBox TV. And I have to say, guys, people wondered when we were going to get Shawn and Tim together. You guys are together now.
Band is together.
Shawn, all that stuff you was talking, man. I heard it. I heard it all, Shawn. Now you got me in the flesh. Now I'm right here.
Don't start, Tim. All right. Don't start, Tim.
This is like a Sicilian Christmas dinner. This is like a Sicilian Christmas dinner. Everybody's gonna be rolling.
My head. You was gonna outbox me. Tell the people what you was gonna do to me, man. Tell me to my face.
Family bickering.
Listen.
What, Shawn?
Are we gonna keep this act up or what?
Family bickering.
What you mean it ain't no act? This is not an act.
People talking, right? You know people talking, right?
A lot of people are talking.
This is family bickering.
What this, Tim? So slow down, because people want to see this.
This is like a Sunday.
I'm not slowing down.
This is like
I know what time it is. But me and my prime, you and your prime.
Listen,
man.
I'm being all the way real with you right now. All the way real. I did a live show on the Porterweight podcast. That we do our shows every Tuesday. Y'all check out the Porterweight podcast. I did a live show Wednesday, and somebody asked me what I thought about this fight, and I said, you know what? I had to cool myself out. When I first saw it, I was a little mad at Tim about the things he said, but I had to remind myself that Tim's been retired for some time. I'm retired. If I came back, I would be defeating the purpose of even retiring in the first place. But I did tell them, yeah, Tim got my blood boiling with this one. He got me the way he was talking. I didn't feel a lot of respect coming from Tim. And I don't appreciate that, all right? So slow down, because I'll get going, and we'll be in the ring in 3 months. I don't know if you can work. I'll meet you.
Like a Sunday dinner at my house.
Let me just say before you guys keep going, I just want to say the reason we're here, we're going to break down last night's fights. We're going to talk about the Shakur fight, the fight he had with De Los Santos,
and just like a great family Sunday dinner, you come over for some positive talk, discussions, and a fight breaks out, just like a typical.
That's right. Well, listen, we're letting
my house. This was a common thread.
We're letting people join the chat. We wanted to get you two talking. And by the way, people were blaming us at ProBox for pitting you two against each other. It's you, the fans, that did it. You asked the question, not us.
I feel like Tim is the one that did it. The way he responded, that wasn't.
Don't let the fat fool you, Shawn. Don't let this fat fool you, man. Come on, you give me six months in the gym, Shawn. Come on now.
But Tim, you haven't run in 7 years.
Gaining weight, am I losing weight? What you want me to do, Tim? Gain weight or lose weight?
It don't matter. Where you want to meet at? What weight you want to meet at? And I'm talking about a real fight, man. A real fight, Shawn. What weight you want to meet at?
180.
Oh, Paulie, this is unexpected here.
Where you at? 180, 190? Where you at?
And I'm way above that.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say. Where we meeting at? We meeting at 180, 190?
We in heavyweights now, man. 200.
There you go.
It ain't. No, I'm just man. Look, I'm just pulling your leg, man. You know I got nothing but love and respect for you, man. Yes, admiration for real, man. Yes, you know, we would never know because we ain't never got in the ring, especially in our primes. You know, you were a tremendous fighter. You had a tremendous heart. It definitely would have been a hell of a war. I can tell you that much. But all we can do is just speculate on it now.
I told Tim this, and he knows this. I've said this on my podcast just a couple of times, and we'll probably close with this. But I've expressed to Tim how much what he did in the ring affected what I went on to do in the ring. So Tim knows on this side that there's nothing but respect here as well. It's definitely this one. I said, man, I ain't got no intentions on get back in the ring, but this one right here. So here, this is the funny thing. Like we're both at a place now where I feel like we both could promote this fight and manage this fight ourselves because we both have grown up and we know how to promote, how to talk, how to do it.
Pay-per-view.
I said, damn it, for us to be who we are now and not be the fighters that we used to be. It's like, it's funny how timing works, but you know, to me, I take that as a sign that it's just not meant to be.
There we go. See, a little bro love for everybody now. That's what we're talking about. Bro love for everybody.
So now that you guys got that out of your system, the reason why we're here is, by the way, we are live. So get your questions in, get your comments in. We are live on ProBox TV, on YouTube, wherever you get your apps. Download ProBox TV. Last night, Emmanuel Navarrete and Robson Conceição fought to a draw. Really good fight, followed by a really bad fight. It was Shakur Stevenson and De Los Santos, went 12 rounds. Let me start this off and let me preface this by saying I'm from New Jersey. I rock with Shakur. I'm a fan of his. I want him to win. But that fight was boring. It was abysmal. And I think it put a lot of people to sleep. Tim, you called the fight. You gave your thoughts last night. I wonder if your thoughts have changed at all now that you've had some time to sleep on it.
No, my thoughts haven't changed at all. I think we get caught up in the moment. Again, if you look at Shakur's track record, 3-4 fights ago, I mean, this guy stood his grounds, was in the pocket, so on and so forth. But I think that Edwin was a bit difficult for him. But with the speed and the power and the timing, like he was a lot better than I think that Shakur thought he was going to be. Once he felt that power, he just felt like, man, I don't want to reach. I don't want to make a mistake because I know if I do make a mistake, it could cost me. And the same can go for Edwin as well, because I didn't see Edwin trying to really push the issue until the last round. So he felt the power from Shakur. He felt the smarts. He felt, Shakur was trying to set him up for traps or whatnot. But I'm going to give you guys some information, man. And Mark Kriegel, my partner, he alluded to it. He said that when he went to see him in camp, he said that he was using his right hand a hell of a lot. He said that he noticed that they were looking at his left hand during or after the sparring session because it was swollen. He said there's a possibility that he may have an injury going into this fight. Now, Mark alluded to that early on. I found out that, and Shakur won't disclose it. He won't talk about it, to the public, because he's the type of guy, I don't want to make any mistakes. But I can just tell you this. He said that after the fight, he said, I've been in camp too long been in camp. I've been in camp since April. I've been training with Bud. I've been doing all of this. So a lot of wear and tear over the course of 7 or 8 months he's been doing. And he got injured during training. So I'm hearing that it's his left shoulder, which makes a whole hell of a lot of sense because that counter left hand was there all night. And he didn't take it. Edwin was coming in with the double jab, and he was falling a little bit over his feet, and the counter left hand was there for the taking. But Shakur wasn't confident enough to throw it. So that lets me know. I think out of the course of 12 rounds, I think it was 27 or some odd left hands that he threw. That's not a hell of a lot. So left shoulder, I'm hearing, is injured, and also left hand is injured as well. So I think that explains probably the snooze fest that we watched last night.
Shawn.
Well, shoot, let me go real quick and ask you this, Tim. If you were in that position, would you have told people about the injury prior to the fight? Would you have told people about the injury after the fight? I probably would
have disclosed the injury after the fight.
But not before, right?
Not before the fight.
You've fought through things before getting in the ring without.
We always do. I mean, fighters, we never, rarely every now and then we'll get into the ring where we're 100%, and usually I ask fighters in the fighter meetings, like, are you 100%? Of course, they're going to tell you that, that they are, because we lie. We hide everything. But I think afterwards I would have said that, like, hey, I came into this fight, I had a shoulder injury, I had a hand injury. I didn't want to postpone this fight. I did what I had to do. It wasn't my best performance. At least, he can give some sort of, I don't want to call it an excuse, but some real to the reason why he fought the way he fought. Now that I don't know if that would have let him off the hook or got him off the hook, but I can just tell you that, being honest and open, with the fans is extremely important, and he didn't do that. So, I think people are just looking at the performance in the whole. But look, man, I've seen this before. I've seen this with Floyd Mayweather Castillo. Floyd didn't have the best performance against Castillo. A lot of people felt that Castillo beat him the first time around. Floyd wasn't really happy with his performance either. And Floyd is still, I mean, undefeated, went down in history as one of the best fighters of his generation in time, possibly of all time.
With Floyd was also an injury too, that with that fight, you know, that would
exactly.
Well, but you know, with this fight, I don't think there's a debate as to Shakur won the fight. I think with Castillo and Mayweather, the debate was whether Floyd won that fight, and then Floyd had to come back and right that situation in the rematch. And what was another tough fight? I mean, comparing Castillo to De Los Santos is a little bit unfair because I don't know what De Los Santos' ceiling is, because Castillo was a very, very difficult guy to deal with. I think even in the rematch, if you look at that rematch, Floyd still had trouble with Castillo for the first 6 rounds until he started pulling away in the second half of the fight. But I think I myself have gone into a lot of fights one-handed, especially early in my career. I had a lot of hand breaks. And Tim, you're making some good points because I was angling this more towards an explanation of Shakur's style and that it's too safe and that he needs to be a bit more explosive, because even in moments, even if people say, okay, your defensive guys are boring, because people don't understand defensive guys. And I was going to make the comparison that Floyd at 130 pounds was also very defensively responsible. He had that, Shakur, if you notice, used that same slide Floyd used to use at 130 pounds, especially that little step and then that big slide, you know what I mean? Like defensive. Yeah. But in between all that, Floyd had a wicked left hook. I mean, it was a fast left hook that would just drop guys randomly. I mean, you think automatically scenes of Diego Corrales fight, you know, where it was like it would fly out of nowhere. So he had that explosive moment at any given point at that weight class, regardless of his defensive prowess. I feel like Shakur, even in this fight, injury notwithstanding, even in other fights, there's no moments of explosiveness. You know what I mean? That gives that people like, whoa, keep you on the edge of your seat. Like, you know, okay, he's a defensive fighter, but he can that explosion, that ripping left hook Floyd used to have. I mean, it was rip. I mean, stop Manfredi. It was hurting guys. It dropped Corrales. Like, it would come out of nowhere, and it was hard to time. It was hard to see. I mean, I don't think I ever saw anybody counter it, let alone, you know, max best you could do with that left hook. He disguised it so well would be to just hopefully it didn't hit you, flip it. But I think that in this situation, with Shakur, with the injury now, you bring a different level of thought to the game here, because yes, okay, Shakur needs to be a little bit more explosive in spots. He's super smart, but there's so much things that he does that can be appreciated to a cerebral mind, and most people are not cerebral minds. You know what I mean? That's in boxing. It's almost like teaching a class that's ready for trigonometry, that's not ready for trigonometry, and putting them in trying to teach them trigonometry. Like the little subtle things Shakur does. Like he steps just out of range when you try to throw a shot, but then he steps right back in range, but he doesn't throw a punch. Yep. So he's conserving energy, but mentally he's occupying the space again. Having fought fights one-handed, and I'm not on the level of Shakur. I was never on the level Shakur is even right now. But I'll tell you what, fighting one-handed it's an illusion. You have to, number one, avoid all exchanges. You cannot win an exchange being one-handed, okay? So you have to fight a boring fight. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's a game of positioning. You never break position defensively. You always keep yourself balanced enough defensively or offensively to the point where you look like you're always dangerous, but in reality you're not, because you only have one hand. So if I'm slipping and sliding, I'm getting just out of range, but at the same time, my balance is in a position where you might think I might throw a right hand, left hook, or any other punch because my balance is there. So I'm selling you on something, so you can't keep attacking. And if you notice, De Los Santos would take those initial 2 steps, jump in. And Tim, you made a good point. You said, oh, he should keep going because Shakur's not throwing back. But why was he not keeping going? Because Shakur was selling him something. He was selling the position that I can't throw. I'm balanced. I'm making this move right here. But step a little closer, dude. I might crack it. You know what I mean? De Los Santos knows it, because Shakur's not defensively all over the place like this, where Shakur's in a balance. So you're selling something, and part of boxing is showing it and taking away, selling something, showing illusions and selling illusions. And these are the things that get lost, even in an injury performance by Shakur Stevenson last night, right? These are things that get lost, the subtle genius that gets lost. That unfortunately will never be considered entertainment, because people just want to see blood, people want to see action. And I get that. I get that, dude. I appreciate that too. But there's a subtle genius that unfortunately is too high of an IQ that and most people won't understand it. And most people maybe won't appreciate it because maybe they don't want that kind of boxing.
Well, listen, we want to get some questions in. So the first one that I see on my screen is from Massimo Carpino. Do you guys think Shakur will ever be a pay-per-view star?
Massimo, it's Italian.
Massimo Carpino. Massimo Carpino says, do you guys think Shakur will ever be a pay-per-view star? Will he need to change his style to be that pay-per-view star? Shawn.
I want to go first because what Tim said that Shakur didn't do after the fight. When you essentially 12 rounds, you don't answer that bell the way people expect you to answer the bell. Now you have to answer the questions as to why you didn't answer the bell. He's going to always have to have a mouthpiece before and after a fight because his style is not always going to be aesthetically pleasing, especially if he doesn't have the style, the opposing style that meshes with what he does well, which is hard to really find. I think the Navarrete, that style matchup makes more sense than the fight with De Los Santos. Nonetheless, he has what it takes to be a pay-per-view star, but I think along with that, beyond his abilities, he has to have the ability to speak in ways that people are going to be captivated before a fight and after a fight. You leave us all wondering why, what happened, all these kinds of things. You didn't give us anything to talk about, but what happened? Give us reason to talk about. Give us the reasons why we're talking about these things, So I think that this fight definitely slows down his process to becoming, I don't even want to call him a pay-per-view star, becoming a star in boxing. He was a rising star, and I think that start came down a little bit after this performance right here. But if he had gave us something to talk about after the fight, he probably could have continued on that trajectory. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I think that's the problem, that he did say he didn't feel good, but he didn't say what it was. He didn't say what didn't feel good. I think, though, he did hold himself accountable, Tim. He said he had a bad performance. That was the first thing that he said. Then he said, I didn't feel good, but he wouldn't elaborate. He wouldn't get into that. So the first thing people do is say these are excuses. So what's a fact? What's an excuse? He did say, I had a bad performance. And in fact, he said in the post-fight presser, he said, I talk so much shit, I got to eat whatever comes with it. So he's admitting he had a bad night.
And bad nights happen. Like, in other sports, you have guys, they have more games, and let's say basketball, let's say football, they have more games. They can show up, they have a lot of opportunities. But like in boxing, you only see them like every so often. So every 6 months, every 4 months, every 8 months. We haven't seen Shakur in 7 months. He had a bad performance. Bad performances happen in boxing, especially when you're not feeling the best, especially when you're not 100%. We've seen, look at Shakur's track record. We've seen after he fought, who was it? Nakatila. After he fought him, I criticized him there. I was like, the fight was boring. This is this. You think he wanted to have another boring fight? I don't think so. But sometimes we get put in these situations to where you do get an injury in practice. You do. But, it's at the wrong time. The fight is coming near, 2 weeks until the fight date. You don't want to call and cancel the fight. Now everybody's saying that you're this, everybody's saying that you're that. Oh, he didn't want to fight De Los Santos, whatever. And, maybe that's what he should have done. Go and flip the script. Maybe that's what he should have done. Is call the fight off, so that way he don't have this type of performance. But in it all, I mean, you being a fighter, man, it doesn't matter. You can be sick, you can be hurt. It doesn't matter. You still got to get in there and find a way to win. And Shakur did that. He found a way to win. And I understand, like what Paulie said, the brilliance behind that, the defense. I was talking about his defense all night. Just a quick step back, just stepping back out of range, just enough out of range to make his opponent. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Most people aren't smart enough to catch that. The position game he plays is unreal, man. You know what I mean? Like he steps out, he steps right back in, but he don't throw a punch. Now it makes you feel like you're being pressured. He's not even doing anything.
He's not even doing anything.
He's winning the fight with his mind, and then most people won't be able to appreciate that. But I don't want to cut you off, Tim. But I will also say one thing: if there was a moment to be exciting, the way you're trying to be exciting, fighting the guy with 16 wins, 14 knockouts is not really the moment to pick to be exciting. We got to be honest with ourselves here. A defensive fighter is not going to suddenly want to come out of his shell, out of his defensive shell when he's fighting a big puncher like this. De Los Santos comes in with a good knockout record, and that's not the guy you want to take your chances against. Like, oh, you know what? I want to experiment tonight. I'm being more exciting. Not with a guy who has almost all knockout wins. So either way, you still got to pick your battle and the right game plan the right way too. De Los Santos also deserves some criticism. I mean, listen, the onus is on Shakur because he's the star, but De Los Santos didn't cut off the ring. You know, De Los Santos has a lot of ability. You can see him too because he also had played a good position game, but he didn't throw the punches. He bought everything Shakur was selling him. You know what I mean? Like so they also made him not throw the punches when he should have. You know what I mean? So Shakur stepped back. He took those steps in, and then what did he do? Like I said, Shakur sold him that he's in position, and De Los Santos didn't throw. Shakur would slide away. De Los Santos didn't cut off the ring. It was moments De Los Santos got so frustrated he stayed at center ring when Shakur slid away. Dude, what are you doing? You're losing the fight. What are you staying at center ring for? What are you waiting for him? He's winning the fight doing this way. Cut the ring off. Cut the damn ring off. He didn't do that either. So, you know, I can't just put it on one guy. You know, sometimes marriage has to work too to make the fight exciting stylistically.
I was going to ask that question, Shawn. I mean, De Los Santos, if he was hurt, if Shakur was hurt, De Los Santos, why couldn't he take advantage of it? I mean, like you said, Paulie, it takes two. And De Los Santos, if he was in there with a fighter that wasn't 100%, he didn't take advantage of it.
I don't think Shakur is ever hurt in the fight. And again, I also don't think Shakur was to tell you he's hurt going into the fight, because then you give your opponent a reason to be extra aggressive knowing you're injured. You never tell somebody you have an injury before the fight. You always say before the fight, oh, I feel great. That's not because you want to lie. It's because you have no choice but to do that. Otherwise, your opponent is going to add a little extra aggression knowing there's an injury. You know what I mean?
But,
so you don't want to do that.
Paulie,
do that.
But Paulie, but to your point, Paulie, De Los Santos, again, like we have to criticize both fighters. We have to criticize his fight as a whole. De Los Santos, I'm gonna call him Edwin. That's too much to say. Edwin should have been trying to press buttons. You can't buy everything. At some point, you got to start trying to make some deposits of your own. You know what I mean? So, to your question, George, the answer to your question, number one, it has to be a part of your makeup. You have to have a makeup of being aggressive. You have to have a makeup of wanting to attack and get after somebody whatever needs to be done under any means necessary. That was what I was trying to find. You have to be able to attack under any means necessary. And when we see that Edwin didn't do that, I think a part of that is, number one, that's not his style. Remember, I said this. He has to taste victory. If he doesn't taste victory, he ain't going to go for it. He showed us that. And the other side of that, too, is we see that he does not have it's not in his makeup to go get it. And at some point, every boxer, what kind of style you have, at some point, you have to have in your makeup the ability to go get it. That's what people want to see. That's what people know about this sport. And in order for this sport to live, we need fighters that are going to go get it.
We are live on YouTube. We're finally live, Tim. Hit that like button. Subscribe to ProBox TV. We want to do more live shows. And you can see, Tim, there's a question up here. I can answer this. Texas Mad question. Did Shakur's stock take a hit? In the short term, it did, Tim?
In the short term. Yeah, absolutely. I told you, like, there's been many a times where top fighters have had subpar performances and still they become, the best in the world or the best in the generation. It's a part of the game. That's just what it is. I mean, every fight, like a fighter gets judged by every single fight. And people just say, like, if people put you in a position of where, you're only as good as your last fight. I look at the whole career, and I look at how Shakur got to this point. Again, he was injured, people. Give him another opportunity to showcase his talent. He's a talented fighter. Paulie keeps telling you how brilliant he is. I keep telling you guys how brilliant he is. But moving forward, this is what I hope this type of fight performance brings for Shakur Stevenson. If he's not that good, then shouldn't the other 135 pounders want to face him?
Yeah.
Like, come on, fans. Tell Tank, step up to the plate. Tell all these guys, Loma, step up to the plate. Because before this, nobody wanted to face him. Now they see this. Now are they going to be willing to step up and face him?
Hey, this is what I'm thinking about,
Tim. Doubt it.
I'm thinking about this, Tim. Like, Shakur is at a point where you can't fight yourself into fights when you get to his level. Everybody's supposed to be fighting to get into a fight with him. It's funny that he may have fought himself into some fights. I actually doubt it because of who he is, and people still aren't going to want to touch that fire. But if anything, this is the kind of performance that shows you, like, hey, I got a shot to get this kid, especially He's got to hurt this and hurt that. Now's the better time than ever. So I really hope people hear what you just said, Tim, and it encourages those promoters, those managers to start making some fights with Shakur. Jump on this.
I disagree, man. I think he's going to hurt his ability to get fights. I mean, he just made a really good fighter. De Los Santos, we know he's a pretty good fighter, man. That's a good fighter didn't have a lot of notoriety. He made a very good fighter look very ordinary with one hand. He used one hand and made him look ordinary with one hand. So I think
we're trying to sell a fight, Paulie. You can't come
I know, but I'm trying to think, man. I just think this kid's IQ is too high for the layman to understand his fighting ability, and it'll never going to be appreciated. So I'm trying to make people appreciate it in a different way. I don't know if it's ever going to work, because I mean it hasn't worked.
I don't think so. There's so many laymen.
But I'll tell you what. Then the other problem is not on Shakur. The other problem is on Top Rank. Yesterday during the broadcast, what you guys say? That Shakur has one fight left on his Top Rank deal.
One fight left.
Well, there's one fight left, and you know what they were trying to make, and they were looking to sell Navarrete. Navarrete last night gets a draw against Conte Sal, who didn't Shakur beat Conte Sal pretty easily, right?
Yeah. Shakur didn't fight. He did.
Yeah, he fought him in Newark.
So what I'm saying is, now you have that comparison. It's not a good comparison. Now you got to draw with Navarrete. He didn't look good. That's the guy you were trying to sell as the next opponent for Shakur, trying to hype him up, trying to big him up. He didn't look good either. Shakur didn't look exciting by that layman's terms that we're talking about. How do you sell Shakur's next fight? You got to get Shakur something that's going to make him want to say, hey, you know what? I want to stay here at Top Rank. And now Top Rank has a problem because they don't have really. Where's the answer you're going to go to? You're not going to come and go get it. Loma is not going to take him. And Loma already takes so many tough fights. He's going to refuse to be somebody's opponent like this. He took so many tough fights.
WBO title. WBC title. WBC title. I mean,
I don't know if it's.
You don't think so?
He's already had that. Loma's already had that title.
Let me get to another question, a comment, because I think this is how a lot of fans feel. This one's from the Pink Panther. Shakur got on his bike as soon as he felt the power. It's the Nakatia fight all over again. It makes the Tank matchup look a little boring now.
So go cut him off then. Go cut him off. So cut him off then. If he gets on it, it's like these guys we're just talking about, like Tim and Shawn were just talking about. If he's that ordinary, then go fight him. If he's not that special, then fight him in there. The ring is square. It ain't a football field. It's square. You know what I mean? It's 20 by 20 max, right? So get in there and go fight him. Why doesn't anybody do it then? He gets on his bike. So cut the ring off. If he gets on his bike, cut the ring. Why is nobody cutting the ring off? Why is nobody doing it?
Shawn, Greg Aguiano said, agree with Mr. Porter, but Shakur doesn't go get it. He's a point fighter, should stay in the amateurs. This is prize fighting. He will run from Tank and put up a snooze fest with Haney. The hate just is all over the place.
Shakur is not the one running from anybody. Shakur is not the one running from anybody.
This is what I thought this fight was going to be like. I got what I thought we were going to get from Edwin. He wants to touch you. If he can't touch you, he doesn't taste victory. He won't do more. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. I thought that he was going to slow down, and I thought that Shakur was going to pick it up and start to step to him. A lot like we saw Shakur do in his very last fight against, was that Valdez, where he just started stepping to him round after round and start. He knows how to go get it. Don't forget about the hand and the shoulder. We just have to say, hey, we didn't get a good Shakur on a great night, and it ended up being what it was. But those are things that I feel people missed because he's such a great defensive fighter. Technique is amazing. People don't realize, like, you don't have to be a Shawn Porter type of go-getter to be a go-getter. He knows how to go get it. He just didn't have what it took last night to go get it.
I want to say something else. I want to say, okay, so if he didn't look good and people should want to fight Shakur, if you don't want to fight Shakur, okay, go fight De Los Santos then. I saw Sam Watson in De Los Santos' corner. So you know what? That means Gervonta could go fight De Los Santos too. We'll get De Los Santos a win. We'll get De Los Santos a win, brush him off, and let's see how Gervonta looks against De Los Santos. I guarantee you, you're going to get more action, but does that mean it's more effective? Because that guy will touch Gervonta too.
Yeah.
We're live.
I can just tell you this. To that question that you asked, or that the fan asked, that's safe to say. I mean, even though, not knowing the hand injury, not knowing the shoulder injury, that is safe to say, because as soon as in the first round, I noticed as soon as he felt that power, and I said that power is real. Shakur's on his bike. He did do the same thing. He did do it's safe to say that he did do the same thing. Once he felt that power, He wasn't willing to engage. He stayed on his back foot. He would come forward. He would keep that distance, like Paulie said. So it's okay if you say that. It's fine. I mean, you do that. That's a serious point. Because when you do get in the ring, when he does get in the ring with a puncher, just put it this way. If he was to fight Gervonta Davis, you think he's going to sit in front of Gervonta Davis? Absolutely not. No, he's not. He's going to use his legs to get out of range.
Hold on. Because he did that maybe in the first 4 rounds, but once he got De Los Santos' timing, again, he was doing that step back, step right back in. He was stepping right back in. De Los Santos wasn't throwing. There was no bite. Yep. He was stepping just out of range, and then instead of De Los Santos following up, it would be Shakur following up and taking a step back in and backing De Los Santos up mentally, but not even physically. And De Los Santos bought it. He bought the illusion, accepted it, and didn't fight. There was no getting on his bike at that point. Shakur clearly stepped up after around 5 or 6 rounds. You know what I mean? Like he clearly started to step up. Even if it was only psychological, it's up to De Los Santos to not buy it, though. So you know what I mean? He's not running. He's in front of you, dude. He's in front of you.
Shawn and Tim, let me read something from Aaron Gortman. Says, love you, George and Paulie, but the disinformation here from Tim and Shawn is disappointing. He was matched athletically and looked awful. He's not great. I don't know what but I'm trying to get a consensus of what the fans are saying. So they're saying you guys are giving us disinformation.
That's hilarious. He said, look, yes, De Los Santos did have athleticism. He did have that, but Shakur was able to take that away with his defense. He was able to take that away. And look, what gives you the right mind to even say something like that? Like, honestly, man, what gives you the right mind? What kind of credibility did you have other than being a fan of boxing? You ever fought before? Think about that now.
Yeah, Tim, but to your point, Tim, because to your point, Tim, when you haven't been in the ring, nobody understands what my eyes have seen, my brain has calculated, same as yours and the same as Paulie's. So they don't understand when a fighter isn't even doing an in and out or a fighter isn't moving left and right, how you still are calculating what that fighter could be about to do, and you're like, I can't do that. My fight with Terrence Crawford, everybody's like, you should have stepped to him. If you had fought him, how you had fought Errol, you would have won. I can't fight Terrence the way I fought Errol. Those style matchups are different, and so I had to be calculated with Terrence. I'm looking at let me finish this, Tim. But I'm looking at Terrence, and I know what I'm used to getting, and he wasn't giving it to me. Mentally, I'm like, damn, he won't give me what I need. Those are the things, and those are the techniques.
Shawn, that's exactly what I'm saying about the buy and sell. That's all that. See, you're talking about psychologically. All that is the buying, the subtle buying and selling of deceptions that happen in a fight that's not even the physical part of the fight. And that's what sometimes we mean when we tell fans, oh, you have to have fought to know it. We're not trying to insult you guys at home, but there's that subtle buying and selling deception that happens without the physical part of the fight. It's happening at the same time as the physical part of the fight. That's where the depth comes in that we are able to read, and sometimes a lot of the layman is not able to read. It's a real mind fuck, essentially. You know what I mean? Can I say it? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I mean, I can see the frustration on the part of the fans, but it really is like that kind of level, that kind of thought process, and that kind of psychology in a fight that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle.
It was a difficult fight, man. It was a difficult fight. It was a difficult fight for Shakur. It was. Even with one hand, it was a difficult fight. It probably would have been a difficult fight with 2 hands. You know, because De Los Santos, he had heat all the way through the fight. He was throwing bombs all the way through the fight. He had power all the way through the fight, man. And that's dangerous. And
another problem is these top guys all fight their own level of opponent, and then like they don't kind of we don't get to see the same guys against the other guy and see or make comparisons of performances. For example, this is the second guy now that might disappear, right? I hope De Los Santos doesn't disappear. I want to see De Los Santos against Gervonta or somebody else.
Me too.
Remember Jermaine Ortiz gave Lomachenko a tough fight. What happened to that guy, man? What happened to that guy? He had a win recently, but why does Jermaine Ortiz not get a shot at one of the other top lightweights? Why does he only get Lomachenko, put up a good performance, and then, he got to disappear? There is this level of fighter where it's just below the super elite, but they're elite themselves, and you need those guys to fight all the top guys to see what kind of trouble they bring, and even maybe if they can beat them. You know what I mean? Like, and we also, and if they don't beat them, we need to be able to compare performances. Like, for example, Shawn right there, two-time world champion, but he also fought Errol and Terrence. He gave us an ability to conversate about Terrence and Errol going into the Terrence versus Errol fight. You know what I mean? Because there's guys that are elite fighting these super elites. You know what I mean? So it's like you need to at least have that shift around business-wise. Why don't these guys, De Los Santos now, if he disappears, that's another tragedy. You know what I mean? Great that he didn't put up an exciting performance, but you still need to see him against other top guys. Jermaine Ortiz, you got to see him against other top guys. You know what I mean? Why don't we get that as well? It's also a moronic way the business runs.
Listen, guys, we are live. We are live on YouTube. Like the show. Download the app, because let me see the 4-shot, please. Because this is what sells the show. You have champions, not me. You have champions right there. Tim Bradley, Shawn Porter showing his guns. And
that's right, Tim.
We are live on YouTube. We want to keep going live.
I'm still working,
hey, listen.
baby.
Hey, Shawn, Tim hasn't run in 7 years. Will you take it easy? All right, but he's still got some guns. He's still got some guns. All right, listen. I've got a quote, a comment from Greg Aguiano. Mr. Tim, you're correct. We're not fighters, but we pay their salary. He will not be a must-watch. I don't even want to see him in with Tank because he takes no chances to win. Boxers should inspire.
Tim, let me say this too, just to talk about the mental perspective again, the things that they don't know. That fight right there, Tank versus Shakur, mentally, them boys is gonna be so high for that fight. There's true hatred and dislike there that you don't see across the boxing landscape ever. So even that alone will ramp that fight up and take it up a couple of notches. But I don't know nothing. Go ahead, Tim.
So he said he won't, if the fight was to get made, so the fan is saying that he won't watch it.
That's what he said.
He says he will not be a must-watch fighter.
Oh, Shakur? No, I mean, that's fair to say. That's fair to say. Styles make fights. This was one of those styles. De Los Santos, this is one of those styles that was a difficult night for Shakur. It really was. Another southpaw with speed and punching power and movement. I mean, it was a difficult fight for him. But did you watch Shakur's last 3 performances? I'm asking you that. Did you watch it? Did you like what he was able to do against those guys? Styles are different, man. This was a dangerous style to deal with. Shakur fought him with one hand. He boxed his ears off. He did what he had to do to get the dub. But there's other fights that's moving forward. There's other fights that he's going to be having. You can't turn your back on a fighter just because he has one off night. You can't say that. He impressed you the last couple of times to get you to even watch this fight right here. So, moving forward, you step up the competition with Shakur. Again, he gonna learn from this one. 2, when he fights Tank Davis, I'm letting y'all know right now, he's gonna beat Tank. He's going to beat Tank Davis.
Tim, that was going to be my next question. Shawn, this week we did a Who's the Man where Tim, Paulie, and Chris gave their top 3 lightweights, and they all had Shakur as number 1. And I know you guys don't do knee-jerk reactions, but I have to ask, is Shakur still your top lightweight? I think, Tim, you're answering that right now. Yes,
he is. Yes, defensively, he can't be touched. I'm telling you, defense wins these championships. Floyd Mayweather, he probably the next Floyd. Call him the next Floyd Mayweather. Because Floyd Mayweather was a quote-unquote boring fighter. I love watching Floyd Mayweather. The genius inside that ring. I love that. I love the fact that he can fight and box without getting hit. That's the sweetness of the game. That's what I like. That's the sweet science. That's what I love. Because trust me, fans out there, I understand that you guys want this rock'em sock'em type of robots type of stuff, but you don't understand what that does to a fighter after his career. That damages you. I understand I had that Ruslan Papadnikov fight, and I'm telling you right now, if I can go back and do something different, I would. Standing there taking all that damage. And who did I take the damage for? I took the damage for you guys.
For the people paying your salary.
No, but I'm just saying.
Paying your salary. Yeah.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
I did it for you guys at home. But again, if I'm sitting up in the hospital, are you guys gonna come visit me? No,
Yeah.
you're not gonna come visit me. You know, if I'm in a wheelchair, if I can't talk, you know, are you guys gonna send me some money? No.
Yeah. I
Not
like
at
the
all.
comparison. I like the comparison to Mayweather. I think that it's extremely fair. I think that we're seeing the exact same things from Shakur that we've seen from Mayweather. Couple of subtle differences here. Number one, I think the image and the mouthpiece and the style that Floyd had, he made you either want to root for him or root against him. Nonetheless, you paid to watch him win, you paid to watch him lose. Shakur has not been able to do that yet. Get people to say, hey, I want to see him lose at this point. Maybe after this fight, maybe we'll get people doing that. But the other side of that as well is Mayweather had the opportunity of picking his opponents. And what did Mayweather do? He always picked opponents that was going to go straight for him, picked opponents that that didn't have feet and could move and could dance and all these other things. And he picked people that weren't going to beat him. At this point, Shakur has not earned the ability to pick his opponents for the sake of words, and he's getting in the ring with a multitude of styles at this point. At near the end of Floyd's career, when he became Money Mayweather, we saw one style every single fight, and I'm not saying that's Floyd did what he had to do. Shakur's doing it a different way. You're seeing Floyd's style against some different styles with Shakur, and it's not it's just the outcome isn't the same at this point, you know. But Tank has been my number one guy at 135 for a number of years now, since for a long time. I just think that he has the equalizer, of course, the power. Along with that, he can counterpunch. Along with that, he can come get you. Along with that, he can retreat. So I just think that he's the ultimate package at 135. That's why he's my number one.
But I'm telling you, I think I still got Shakur as my number one as well. I do think, though, that Mayweather had more explosiveness at these lower weight classes than the Shakur. Mayweather, again, as I said earlier, Mayweather had that subtle explosiveness with that left hook. He had knockouts against some good fighters, even at lightweight against guys like Philip Endo, who has a big puncher coming in, and Mayweather absolutely eviscerated him, you know. So I do think there is a subtle more excitement to Floyd than there is to Shakur in terms of he's more explosive. He's defensive, but again, he was also more explosive at the lower weight classes. I think Shakur right now reminds me of the higher weight class Mayweather, where he's completely like defensive, just smooth boxing and just taking it as it is. But I think the smaller Mayweather was more explosive than the smaller Shakur right now. But we'll see how it goes on. Also, Mayweather had one extra advantage. He got Oscar De La Hoya, and beat him. You know, Oscar De La Hoya was a megastar. Shakur needs that kind of megastar adversary in order to kind of go to that next level of a phenomenon and discussion point. Otherwise, you know, he's going to be a guy that people are just talking about the way we're talking about him right now, where, you know, he's good, but this and that. And there's always, you know, you always want to see that superstar adversary. Could it be Gervonta Davis? Can that fight even get made? Who even knows? You know, because that they kind of need each other in that way too. Because I don't know that either of them have fought that kind of adversary. But why does Gervonta have the advantage? Gervonta's very defensive as well. You know, you look at an early part of a Gervonta fight, he barely throws any punches, but he has that eraser. He has a knockout power. So that keeps people on the edge of their seat. It keeps people excited, and it makes people feel like he's exciting. But in reality, if you look at Gervonta's style, is he an exciting fighter? No, he's an exciting puncher who knows how to box very cerebrally. So you wouldn't appreciate Gervonta Davis either if those people at home that are not appreciating Shakur Stevenson, I'm saying, you wouldn't appreciate Gervonta Davis either if he didn't have this kind of power. You know what I mean? Because he's basically that reflex defensive fighter as well. But then all of a sudden, boom, you're out of the fight because he hits so hard. And that makes even the layman appreciate a guy. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, everybody understands knockouts. Everybody feels like that's exciting. So I mean, he's got that advantage there. And maybe the Shakur and Gervonta Davis is the fight they both need. They both need kind of each other in order to get to that level. And this is what boxing is missing a lot of times modern days. Guys don't fight each other when they're at the top of their game at the right moment for the fans to really get into it and for themselves to elevate one another at that right moment. They make the fight marinate. They make the fight go to get spoiled. Then later on, they make even more money, but nobody really cares about it and doesn't do anything for either of them. You know, you kind of reach a crescendo where you're in each other's path for greatness. And that's when the fight has to happen. That's why Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard are still loved to this day, because they fought when they were on that path to greatness, and they collided instead of taking mirror routes with one another like Errol and Terrence did, or like Mayweather and Pacquiao did, and so on and so forth. You got to collide. You don't take the equal route together all the way up and then finally get there at the end. If you want, you can make more money later. I get it. You can sell it and make more money later. Do you want greatness? Or do you want to be more greatness? Do you want to be looked at more greatness? Or do you want the money? You may want the money, but then don't complain when people complain too. You know what I mean? You can't have it both ways. You got to fight each other at the right moment. I think they both need each other. They're both very good fighters. They're both phenomenal fighters. And to Shakur's point, one last point to Shakur's point. If you win, people are always going to talk about you. You're going to be boring as hell. I don't care. But if you win, people are constantly going to be in the conversation. You can talk, even the way everybody say, I don't want to watch him. I don't want to do this. Bro, the guy's going to keep winning. He's going to keep winning, and he's going to keep winning. Yes, I'm sure he wants to be more exciting. But a guy who's winning is going to always be talked about, whether people are complaining about him or whether people are praising him. A guy who's winning is always going to be in the conversation. That's what boxing is.
Man, Paulie, take some oxygen. How do you do that without breathing? I mean, that's incredible. But listen, I want to read a few quotes, but can we go back on the fourth shot? Tim Bradley, I remember a long time ago, and I have to watch my play on words, but you complained about Shawn doing his shows from the closet. He's back in the closet. So I just wanted to point that out, that he is back in the closet. So, you didn't complain, so I guess it doesn't bother you. There you go. Showing off the clothes.
Don't get these two guys started again, G.
So he always pushing my buttons. He always trying to get me started on Shawn. I see you, Jordan. I'm not taking the bait that this time.
So Blue Blood Sports TV said, you guys are talking about Floyd Mayweather. There's also the pretty boy Floyd Mayweather that was very aggressive and offensive. That's the difference.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
And you said that, Paulie. That was. And
I said that at the lighter weights, I felt like Floyd had there's explosive moments, especially that left hook. It come out of nowhere, it could wreck you, or the right hand he knocked out Philip Endo with, the right hand combination that he knocked out Philip Endo with, the repeated right hands. He had that kind of explosiveness at lightweight. But again, I feel like last night Shakur can get a little bit of a pass. I know people might maraud me for it, but I feel like he was injured. I feel like he was injured last night. Now you guys got a great point. Also, Kriegel having the inside source with him saying that. I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind, especially when you look at the way he fought last night. He basically beat a good fighter with one hand, bro, which is a talent in of itself that probably is not going to get appreciated, but he beat a good fighter with one hand last night.
We are live on YouTube. Download the app. You get a lot more than this. We got live fights. We got Wednesday night fights. November 29th is the next one. Paulie, I think Tim and Shawn know Wednesday night fights is the real deal on ProBox TV.
Man, you gotta tune in yourself and find out for yourself if you haven't yet. Wednesday night fights, we have the best head-to-head matchups, but right below championship level boxing. But these are the kind of guys that want to reach. They're right on the cusp of championship boxing. So it's basically this is their dress rehearsal, so to speak. They fight each other, and the winners have a chance to kind of excel themselves. And we've had some real smoker fights on Wednesday night fight series for any of you that have not caught up. And of course, for the ones that have caught up, do like Shawn says: tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. To tell your mama, because she's going to tell everybody.
Hey, and Paulie, you never know. Maybe in 2024, maybe on ProBox TV, we're going to get a pay-per-view. Bradley and Shawn. Maybe. I'm just putting that out there. But listen, guys, we're talking about the fight last night. Shakur got a decision over Edwin De Los Santos. But let's talk about Shakur's future. I mean, he's obviously going to take a little bit of time off. They didn't say how much. But Shawn, this was a bad fight. It wasn't a good look for him. And in the short term, he takes a hit. It doesn't make him an awful fighter. But, I don't know. What kind of an opponent do you match him up with next? Is he going to jump in the ring with a big fighter? Is it going to be a guy he can look good against? What do you think is next?
I'll let Tim and Paulie do the matchmaking. But this is what I'll say. It's really it hurts his overall stock, because like Tim said earlier, you only see fighters every 6 months if you're lucky. That's if you're lucky. So for him to leave, this is his last fight, the last thing he left us with before he now goes to repair a hand, repair a wrist, or excuse me, a shoulder, repair even mentally and all these other things. The rest of recovery, we're looking at him getting in the ring maybe even next summer. So we got a long time before we see this man in the ring. So for me, I'm thinking about, man, that stock. What is he going to be able to do? Not to keep himself relevant, but to keep people wanting to see him back, And so it would be different if he had a stellar performance. We know he's injured, so he's going to be gone for some time. He didn't have that, and it's like now, like damn, like what's your stock going to look like for the next 8 months before you even get back in the ring? That's what I'm stuck on right now.
All it's going to take is one fight for him to come back and look extremely great, and look exceptional, and then everybody's going to be back on. Everybody's going to be back on. Yep, exactly. That's what the fans do. That's exactly what the fans do. They'll turn you on, turn you off, turn you on, turn you off. You know what I mean? Depending on what you're doing. At the end of the day. But Shakur's going to come back and he's going to face, I don't know who he's going to face, but I can just tell you this. Knowing his nature and knowing what he's about, he's going to face the best out there. He wants to face the best and the best only. So he wants to fight a Lomachenko. He'll fight a Navarrete. He'll fight a Tank Davis. That's the fight that I want to see. And now you see that, or some people see that there's some vulnerability there in Shakur, with punching power. Come on, Tank, step up to the plate. Let's make this happen. Let's go. Step up to the plate. Who else? Ryan Garcia, come step up to the plate. Come face Shakur. Haney, come step up to the plate. If he's that easy, if he's not that difficult to deal with, step up to the plate and face this man, because trust me, even after this performance, he's going to get better. He's going to learn from this, and he's going to continue to dominate. And eventually, everybody's going to really understand what he's all about for years to come. Everybody will sooner or later understand how brilliant this kid is and what I've been talking about for the last 5 years.
And he will come back healthy too. The problem is if there is a surgery, I don't know to the extent of how much damage he has to this injury. Sometimes they require surgery, sometimes they don't. If they require surgery, you're right, man. I mean, if the injuries require surgery, or if the injury requires surgery, you're looking at him not coming back probably till close to the summer, if not the summer. So that can get frustrating. But then again, that could also build up his hunger. Because now he's going to be taking this layoff, being criticized the whole time. And he may come back with an even more ferocious mentality.
Wow. Well, talking about Tim and Shawn, I'm looking at a comment here. Andre Styles says, I would have bet Shawn beats Tim by late round TKO. So people are still in that chat room talking about you two fighting when we're talking about Shakur Stevenson.
I've never been knocked out before. Never been knocked out.
Tim, what about Frank Martin? That fight was previously talked about, wasn't officially made. But what about Frank Martin against Shakur coming back?
Make it happen.
Do you like that fight?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I like the fight. I think it's an easier fight than the fight that Shakur just fought. Absolutely, I like that fight. I think it's an easier fight.
But Martin is also a PBC fighter. Why do we not getting Martin with Gervonta Davis? Like, why are we getting Gervonta with 130 pounders? You know what I mean? Like, why? That's a PBC fight. Why are we just criticizing Shakur here? Why are we getting Martin? Why do we have to have Martin against Shakur? Shakur's about to be out, possibly getting surgery here. Why don't we get Martin against Gervonta Davis? Why do I gotta see Gervonta against guys I never heard of, or against the YouTuber Ryan Garcia? You know what I mean? Like, and he's good. Gervonta's good, but why am I not getting that matchup? Why are we not getting Frank Martin and Gervonta? It's an easy matchup to make. They both are PBC. They both really good fighters. It would be exciting. People would be want to tune in. Why didn't you make that fight? That's an easy one to make. They're in the same stable.
Yeah.
Shawn can answer that question.
I got nothing for you. I got nothing for neither of y'all. I think over there, the business is done a specific way, and even though they're in the same weight class and everything, the trajectory they're on two different levels. And I don't think that that's the fight that they want to make. I don't know. I can't tell you why, but I just feel that Frank Martin, to your point, Paulie, Frank Martin and Tank Davis, Gervonta Tank Davis, number one, it's a great fight. I think it's an exciting fight, and it's a fight that could be made, needs to be made, should be made next for both guys. The why not? I can't answer it. The only thing I can think is that they want to keep those guys on two different sides and maybe collect belts or something. I got no clue. I got no clue.
Well, make sure you download the app, get your comments in. Guys, we're going to start to wrap this up. It's funny. Our executive producer, Bruno, who does a lot of work on the Spanish side, keeps asking us to cross promote to the Spanish side of ProBox TV. They have about 10,000 more subscribers than us, but he's asking us to promote them. Look, we're all a family. But guys, really quick on ProBox. This is probably, it's the most unique channel that's out there. I mean, you've got champions, and not me, but you've got champions on the screen. And Tim and Shawn, we got you two together. Just give me a sense, really, about ProBox and the uniqueness of it, Shawn, and why it's so good.
Yeah, and I'll speak to the perspective of having Tim on here. When I was first talked to about ProBox TV, the names were mentioned. Paulie Malignaggi. I've always wanted to work with Paulie. Chris, Algieri. I always wanted to work with Chris. And then when I heard Tim, I was like, it's a wrap. If Tim is doing it, I'm doing it. You know, that's what you get over here with ProBox TV, especially with the English side. You get the best of guys who have been in it and know how to translate it to those who have never been in it. You know what I mean? So that's why ProBox TV is so special. We know what we're doing, and we know how to tell y'all how we do it. Simple as that.
Look, it's the only channel on YouTube, man, where you getting the news from actual fighters that actually did it in the past. You know, and it's just strictly boxing. That's what we talk about. We're not talking about any other sports. This is what ProBox TV is about. It's about boxing and boxing only. And again, like Shawn alluded to, you know, look at the guys on the panel. Let me exclude myself, but you know, Shawn Porter's fantastic. A lot of people love Shawn Porter. Paulie Malignaggi is fantastic. I've been a fan of Paulie Malignaggi when he was doing Showtime work. Fantastic analyst, brilliant mind. And then you have Chris Algieri as well, brilliant mind, up and coming. I mean, he's up there with the best right now. And we have you, George, with all the experience, man. So, you know, when you have all this experience in just one room, man, and you can just come and just tune in, and you can get, you know, you get to pick our brains. We're the only boxing channel that's actually interacting with the fans, you know, and answering their questions that they're having. I just think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, 24/7 boxing channel, up-to-date news. I mean, you know, we are basically your sports center for boxing. You know what I mean? Here every single day, we give you that news, that updates. If there's news in boxing to be talked about, where it's being discussed at ProBox TV. And it's not only being discussed in a news segment, it's also being discussed in our podcasts like you guys are seeing here. We give you live, we give you tape podcasts, and also it's basically us kicking back, discussing it, and you guys get to join the conversation when it comes to your comments, or if we're doing live and whatnot. You know, you get to basically sit into a boxing conversation with a few ex-world champions and Hall of Famers, and just basically chill out. You know what I mean? And hear our thoughts, and you guys get to give your thoughts and all that other stuff. I mean, it's good. And then G is the host. You know, he throws in some pepper every once in a while and tries to get Tim and Shawn to fight, but you know, it's all good. It's family love. It's that Sunday dinner argument in my house, man. I'm totally used to it. I knew they would have that brotherly love by the end of the show today.
You know, I was getting some flack because people were saying I was pitting Shawn and Tim against each other, and I said this when we were off air. Muhammad Ali used to always say, it's always some white guy trying to get two brothers to fight. Not me. I didn't do it. It wasn't my question, but they bit. So look, here's one of my hopes, that 2024 we get that pay-per-view, Tim Bradley and Shawn Porter.
And you know what? And if we don't, we still got Wednesday night fights on ProBox TV.
There you go.
With ProBox TV.
But they're
lights out.
They're too big for Wednesday night fights, but maybe we'll get that pay-per-view. But listen, guys, we talked about Shakur Stevenson. He won a.
Tim, you ever fought on the Wednesday, Tim?
Never.
Uh-oh.
Never fought on the Wednesday.
Is that a challenge?
No, I love you.
I'm retired. I ain't coming back.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go. So listen, don't forget, November 29th, we got the next Wednesday night fight series on ProBox TV. We're going to do more of these live. So comment, get questions in. Tell us what you think of what they said. Shakur Stevenson became a 3-division champion last night. He won a decision over Edwin De Los Santos. Where his future is going, we don't know. Champions, I thank you. Remember to download the app. ProBox TV is your boxing channel.